Today's demo will showcase the new Odoo add binding command. This command makes the necessary changes to your dev file that allows to connect your application with an operator backed service. This connection is made possible with the help of service binding operator and its service binding resource. So in order to use this command, Odoo expects you to have this SBO installed in your cluster. For this demo, I'm going to use a local minikube cluster. I have its status checked, which says it is running. Like I mentioned, we need the SBO operator installed on the cluster, which I have. I have also installed the Percon distribution for MongoDB operator, which will require for later on. I have a Go project here, which has been cloned from this repository. It is a simple REST API application with a single API endpoint called Places. This application expects to fetch the data from the MongoDB service. The project already has a dev file and it contains a single container component. Let us quickly run Odoo dev to see how our application responds. Note that this application is not currently connected to a service, so it is likely to respond in an error. The application is up, but we see a long list of logs, which is not a good sign. But let us check the curl to this API endpoint. We received an empty reply from the server, which is expected. Let us hit Control C and try to connect our application with the service. So for the purpose of this demo, I have created a Percona server MongoDB instance called Mongo Cluster 2. Let us run Odoo add binding, which gives me a list of services to select from. We'll go with Mongo Cluster 2. We'll use the default API name. Now, when I bind this service as a file, the data required to connect my application with the service will be stored inside a file on the application container. If not bind as files, then it will be exported as environment variables in the application cluster. But we'll bind it as files for now. Let us take a look at the changes that were made to dev file. We see a new Kubernetes component was added of the kind service bind, which binds the REST API app deployment that belongs to our application with the Mongo cluster 2 Percona server MongoDB service instance. It is worth noting that Odoo add binding can only detect service instances from the known bindable operators. So when I run kubectl describe bindable kind, we see a list of kinds that are supported, and all the instances of these kinds will be detected by Odoo add binding. Now let us run Odoo dev to see our application in action. Let us also keep an eye on the service binding. We'll wait for it to be created. It has now been created and bounded to our application. Our application is ready. So if we and we don't see the logs, which is a good sign. Let us curl this API endpoint and we see data coming in from the MongoDB server that we have service that we have running. Let us hit Control C and end this command. And that is it for today's demo. Thank you.